I had been entangled with Andrew for 10 years. Everyone in the world envied us for being childhood sweethearts and believed that we would surely go from school uniforms to wedding gowns. When the fire alarm rang, he was so worried that he directly picked up his little assistant and a Princess Carrie and escaped. He didn't even glance at me, who was barefoot not far away. When I woke up, I was lying on a hospital bed. He was half hugging Lily Stella. Don't get me wrong, Lily is delicate. She was wearing high heels and sprained her ankle. You used to participate in short-distance races in the school sports meet every year when you were young, running as fast as if you were on firewheels. Who would have thought that you'd fall just running down the stairs? This time I just looked at him calmly and said, "Who are you?" The office building where the company is located has more than 30 floors. I was on the 20th floor when the fire alarm rang. Everyone rushed into the stairwell. I quickly ran down to the next floor. I wanted to run away with Andrew. When I arrived, I saw him carefully taking care of his little assistant and running towards the fire escape stairs. He didn't even bother to look at me more. After running just one floor, he simply picked Lily up by the waist. He still didn't forget to call out to her affectionately, "Hold on to me tightly." There were still more than 20 floors to go. I took off the high heels I was wearing today. I could feel the thin socks being torn by the rough ground. The crowd was surging. I ran down like a walking corpse. Stop by the last few floors. There was already an obvious choking smell. People were running even faster. I don't know who pushed me and I fell down. When I fell out of the corner of my eye, I saw Andrew didn't stop for a second. He disappeared at the entrance on the first floor with Lily in his arms at top speed. When I woke up, I was lying on a hospital bed. Andrew was supporting Lily, whose ankle was wrapped with a bandage. Seeing that I was awake, he was a bit uncomfortable for a moment and moved aside a little. Looking at me, he said, "You're so stupid. You could even fall while running down the stairs. And you were running barefoot. I told you not to wear high heels to work. You were as strong as a bull when you were young. You participated in both long-distance and short-distance races in the school sports meet every year. It's just over 20 floors of stairs. I thought you'd be running like on firewheels as before." Lily said, "Sister, you're really amazing. Unlike me, I sprained my ankle after just running one floor. It's good that you're okay. I won't disturb you too. President Andrew, please stay with Sister Stella more. I'll leave first." After saying that, she leapt away. Turning around to leave, Andrew subconsciously chased after her and supported her. "Stella, you're fine. Just rest first. I'll take Lily back first. She's a little girl and has hurt her foot. I'm not at ease." She waved her hand to refuse, but then leaned unsteadily on Andrew. I calmly watched the two of them disappear at the door. Just like when they escaped downstairs before, Andrew quickly picked her up, saying, "Don't come to work these days. Have a good rest at home." I looked at my foot with the skin broken and wrapped in gauze, and my left leg in a cast. I could still move. It was okay. It didn't seem to hurt much anymore. I took out my phone, opened the memo and wrote down the number 10. Andrew and I grew up together since childhood. We confirmed our romantic relationship when we were 17. Now we're 27. We've been in love for 10 years, a full 10 years. My best friend had advised me more than once, "Why haven't you and Andrew gotten married yet? You've been childhood sweethearts for more than 20 years and have been in love for 10 years. If I were him, I'd have married you long ago." When I was 23, he said he wanted to work for 2 more years. "Stella, I want to straighten out my father's company first, and then get married." "Okay, I want to give you a grand wedding." I said okay anyway. We'd been together for so many years. What did it matter if it was 2 more years? And so it went 2 years. After 2 years, he never mentioned getting married again. Everyone thought that we were childhood sweethearts and lovers and would surely go from school uniforms to wedding gowns. When did I start to notice the changes? He was often distracted when he was with me. Sometimes there was a perfunctory tone in his words that had never been there before. When he first started working, he would communicate with me about some problems in the company every day when he came home, even some interesting gossip. It was hard to imagine that a seemingly cold and aloof president actually eavesdropped on the gossip in the office. I would laugh uncontrollably in his arms. Later I found a design job which happened to be on the floor above his. He happily told me, "It's great that we can go to and from work together in the future." Wife, "But Andrew, you haven't married me yet. How can you call me wife?" One day at noon, I went downstairs to find Andrew to have lunch together. There was a pink lunchbox on his desk. A little girl was looking at him expectantly as he ate a meatball. When she saw me coming, he was flustered for a moment. He quickly raised his chopsticks and offered them to me. "Stella, you've come just in time to taste this." It was brought by assistant Lily. That girl was Lily. She was wearing a business suit, and her ponytail revealed her youth and vitality. She blushed and said, "Hello, sister. I learned to make fried meatballs last night and brought some for my colleagues." I glanced at the cute lunchbox and saw that it was almost empty. I took Andrew's hand and said, "If you like it, we can also bring lunch in the future." He gently brushed past my hand and quickly said, "Lily, you can go out first." I remember that Andrew never ate fried food because he had vomited from eating it when he was a child. When Andrew returned to the hospital, it was already evening. He apologized to me a bit. "I'm a bit late. I thought you'd be okay in the hospital." Lily lives alone. Her fridge at home was a bit empty and she had hurt her foot. I prepared some food for her. I remained calm. Just now I had seen Lily's WeChat moments. She was sitting in a shopping cart in the supermarket, and more things were piled on it as she was being pushed around. The caption was, "It's so considerate of the leader to help this little cripple stock up on food." The nurse aunt poured me a glass of water and muttered, "Girl, your feet are badly hurt and your leg is fractured. If you need to go to the toilet, just call me and I'll push you there. Don't force yourself to walk. The doctor said you were also stepped on. If it hurts, call me and I'll apply some medicine for you. Don't keep silent." I smiled at her and nodded and she left. Andrew frowned when he heard this and wanted to get closer to me. He probably didn't expect that I was so badly hurt. I said indifferently, "Sir, I just woke up and carefully recalled. I really can't remember who you are. Why did you come to my ward for no reason?" He immediately widened his eyes. "Stella, what are you doing? Say that again. Are you acting? Are you angry that I sent Lily home and didn't take care of you? Is it necessary?" I rang the bell and the doctor came. I pointed at Andrew. "Doctor, this person is disturbing my rest in my ward. I don't know him. My head hurts a bit." Andrew wanted to say something more but was pulled away by the doctor. I heard the doctor say to him at the door, "The patient has experienced a stampede." Fortunately, she was rescued and protected in time. However, her head was stepped on by an external force. It's not uncommon for her to have such symptoms of amnesia. Impossible. He has loved me the most since he was a child. How could he forget me? Andrew walked in, dazed that he looked at me with complicated eyes. He pulled a chair and sat beside me. "Stella, I'm your boyfriend. We've been together for many years and are about to get married." I smiled at him. "Did we get married?" He shook his head without saying anything more. I said relaxedly, "Oh, luckily it was a false alarm. It's good that we didn't get married. I really don't remember you, sir. If we're just boyfriend and girlfriend, then let's break up now. Let's have nothing to do with each other from now on. I don't know, I can't imagine how I could have liked someone like you before." He wanted to say something more but his phone rang. There were crying sounds from inside. "President Andrew, I wanted to cook something, but I accidentally spilled the boiling water. Woo woo, hiss woo woo." Andrew's voice tightened. "Did you get burned? Don't worry about that. I'll come right away." He glanced at me and then walked away quickly. "Stella, wait for me to come back. I'll make you remember. How could you forget me?" Not long after, a man with his head wrapped in bandages came to the ward. He wasn't much better than me. He also had bandages on his body and was even leaning on a crutch. I anxiously asked President Ryan, "How did you get hurt like this?" Ryan's voice had a hint of resentment. "It's all because I was someone's human cushion." I suddenly remembered that when I fell, someone did shout my name out. I was a bit embarrassed. "Did you save me, President Ryan? Thank you." Ryan then said, "I heard from the doctor that you have amnesia. You forgot your ex-boyfriend." I nodded. "Indeed, my memory is a bit messed up." He threw away his crutch and clapped his hands. He looked a bit funny. Good. I've heard that you two have been together for 10 years but haven't gotten married. There must be something wrong. Are your legs okay?" As soon as he finished speaking, he fell onto my hospital bed. I quickly helped him up. Ryan had said something similar to me before. At that time, the company had taken on clients from other places. When I came back from a business trip, it was snowing heavily in cities. Before I came back, Andrew said he would pick me up. However, when I arrived, the snow was getting heavier and heavier. I waited for a long time. I called him but no one answered, and I sent messages but got no reply. Because it was a newly built high-speed railway station, located in the suburbs, there were fewer and fewer taxis. In the end, I was all alone in the freezing cold. The soonest available car would require a 2-hour wait. When my legs and feet were getting them from the cold, Ryan saw me and stuffed me into his car. He said, "I remember your train was supposed to arrive 2 hours earlier than mine. Logically, you should have been home by now." Fortunately, I left my car at the station when I was on a business trip. Seeing that I looked cold, he just sighed. "Your boyfriend didn't come to pick you up. If I had a childhood sweetheart girlfriend, as soon as we reached the marriageable age, I would put her name on my household register. You two have been together for 10 years. There must be something wrong." How could there be nothing wrong? At that time I came to my senses in the car, and sent Andrew a message saying that I was almost home. But then I saw a new update on my WeChat Moments. It was a post by Lily that had just been made. It was hard not to notice. It was a picture of the snow scene with the caption, "So many people seeing others off in the snow, that I can't even get a taxi. If no one sends me off, I'll have to sleep on the streets." Soon after there was another update, "Fried chicken and beer go really well together on a snowy day." In the reflection of the window in the photo, I saw that familiar figure. But the text messages on my phone still showed the one that Andrew replied after I sent him the ticket information. It was not until the next morning that Andrew opened the door and found that I was already home. I had fallen asleep on the sofa. He picked me up and said, "I'm sorry, my phone ran out of battery yesterday. The snow was too heavy. I spent the night at a hotel dealing with things." I just looked at him and said, "Really, was the fried chicken good?" His voice rose when he heard that. "What are you being sarcastic about again? Isn't it just that I didn't go to pick you up? I've already apologized to you. What more do you want? It was just snowing and the snow was a bit heavy. I just gave a colleague a ride and had a few drinks. When the snow got too heavy, I just stayed at her place for the night. Nothing happened. After more than 10 years you still don't trust me. Do you think you're still the little princess of the Stella family? You should change your temper." I was a bit tongue-tied when he questioned me like that. "Are you feeling guilty? What else you think could have happened?" "Andrew, you were out of contact. If you hadn't said you'd pick me up, I could have booked a car earlier when the snow wasn't that heavy, but you were out of contact. Why did you break your promise and lose contact?" After that Cold War, I wrote the number 6 in my memo. After being in love for 10 years, even if it ended badly, I wanted to give us a chance. I told myself that I would forgive him 10 times for breaking my heart. After 10 times we would treat each other like strangers. Indeed, I was no longer the little princess of the Stella family. When I was 13, my mother passed away. When I was 15, my father married someone else and settled abroad. You see, I should have understood that there is no eternal love. Back then my father clearly loved my mother so much. Our family of 3 was so sweet and happy. Later I no longer had a home. When my father moved to a new house, he said to me, "The 2 properties in the country have been transferred to your name. Your Aunt Lou, she doesn't want to live with you. I'll send you money every month. You just stay in the country and be fine." But I just wanted our family with Mom and Dad to be together. I cried until my eyes were swollen and I couldn't see clearly. That day, Andrew held me and said, "Stella, you still have me. You're not alone. I'll always be with you." I believed him. I thought we would always be together. Now he tells me, "You're no longer the little princess of the Stella family. It turns out that the knife closest to you cuts the deepest." When my best friend Sunny rushed into the ward, I was playing cards with Ryan and an aunt who was a nursing worker. She hugged me tightly. Her dark circles were shockingly big. "You little devil, you didn't even tell me you were in the hospital." If I hadn't seen the news about the fire, I wouldn't have known. When I saw someone being carried out, I was so scared. "Woo-woo, you heartless thing." That I wiped her tears and said, "Okay, look, I'm fine. I can still play cards. Besides me, you have no one else. You'll slowly remember, right? You love me the most." She turned her head to look at Ryan, and then looked around the ward. "Where's Andrew? That jerk didn't come to take care of you." Ryan quickly pulled her and said in a low voice, "Keep it down. She has amnesia and has forgotten her ex-boyfriend. The doctor said that she was in great pain and got stimulated before fainting. Her brain protected itself and forgot the people who made her unhappy." Sunny jumped up excitedly when she heard that. Good, good, good. Oh my, it's good that she forgot. I've always said that guy has been dragging our Stella along. Her smile froze because Andrew came. He was holding a bunch of eustoma flowers. He put the flowers on the windowsill and said, "Stella, have you remembered anything? You've liked eustoma since you were little. You said it represents eternal love." I showed no expression and said, "Mr. Andrew, please don't bother me anymore. I've said that I don't remember you and don't want to have anything to do with you any more. That I've heard from them that we were together for 10 years but didn't get married. Maybe I didn't love you enough." His eyes drooped, looking a bit hurt. Then he said, "Stop joking, Stella. Besides me, you have no one else. You'll slowly remember, right? You love me the most." Sunny made a disgusted sound. She threw the flowers onto Andrew's face. "Stella doesn't remember you anymore. What are you still blabbing about? What do you mean she has no one else?" I saw in the news that a man carried a woman out princess style at the fire scene. Netizens were fed a mouthful of dog food. Who would have thought that the woman he carried wasn't his girlfriend? My Stella was carried out on a stretcher. I think God has finally opened his eyes and made Stella forget you. Get out and don't show up in front of Stella again. Otherwise I'll beat you up every time I see you. Andrew just stared at my face and saw that I had no expression. He panicked for a moment. He murmured. Stella, my face got scratched by the flowers. I said, oh, Sonny doesn't have much strength. Please really don't harass me anymore. In the past when I got a small cut, you would be so worried that your eyes would turn red. Stella, are you blaming me for not protecting you when escaping from the fire? It's just that Lily was too delicate. What if she fell down and got stepped on? The consequences would be unimaginable. I know you could run fast since you were little. So I interrupted him and said, sorry, I don't remember. This wasn't the first time he had left me behind. I remembered the number 9 in my memo on my phone. There was a party for an event once. I was outside getting some fresh air when Lily came to chat with me. When we got to the poolside, she leaned in and said to me, Miss Stella, I don't know if you've heard of this saying, first love can't compete with the one who suddenly appears. After saying that, she hugged me and fell into the pool with me. Andrew heard the noise and ran over. That he quickly jumped into the pool. Right in front of me, he swam over and picked up Lily. I tried my best to suppress the leg cramps caused by being suddenly pulled into the water, and tried not to sink as much as possible. Until someone fished me out. Afterwards he said, I know you could swim since you were 8 years old. I ignored the smug look in Lily's eyes as she was in his arms. I shivered as I changed my clothes, perhaps because I had choked on some water. I had a fever for several days. He was busy in the kitchen for a long time cooking ginger syrup with brown sugar and took it to Lily. She's a little girl who doesn't know anything. She has a bit of a cold. You remember to take your medicine too. It was already the 9th time my heartache had started to nem. I was even stupidly hoping that I could burn to death back then. Then I wouldn't have to feel the pain anymore. I overestimated myself. Before the 10th time came, I said to Andrew, let's break up. Andrew, we're splitting up. He stopped chatting on his phone and muttered about me. Are you delirious with fever? Stella, say that again. In a daze he fed me the medicine. You must be delirious with fever. How could you possibly be willing to leave me? We've been together for so many years. After I recovered from that fever, I went on another business trip. Work was going more and more smoothly. I deliberately didn't think about Andrew until the day of the fire when I was a teenager. He pulled me out of the gloom of losing my parents. Afraid that I might do something stupid, he tried every day to make me laugh. After all, we had been entangled for so many years. The 10 chances were still used up. On the day I was discharged from the hospital, Andrew came. I said indifferently, Mr. Andrew, you said we had been together for many years. Are there any of my things? He was a bit excited. Let's go home. Once we're home, maybe you'll remember. Sonny had been with me all the time. This apartment was close to the company. So after starting work, Andrew and I moved here. It was also the real home for our 2 generations after the old house. Every decoration and every arrangement inside was carefully chosen by me. After entering the house, Andrew pulled me to a photo wall. I showed no emotion and said, Sonny, cut out my half of the photos, or if Mr. Andrew doesn't mind, he can just deal with them himself, just throw them away. He was shocked. You stuck these photos up one by one. You like this wall the most. You once said that you wouldn't trade it for 1,000 gold pieces. Right at that time, I even asked many classmates to see if there were any photos of us, taken by others, that I treasured each photo and stuck them up, saying that this was our whole memory. When we got old, we could sit in rocking chairs and look at them slowly. It's just that I never thought back then that we wouldn't have a future. Sorry, Mr. Andrew, I was just looking at some old photos that I only pack some frequently warm clothes and daily necessities. We were about to leave, Mr. Andrew. You can check out the rest and see which things are mine. I'll ask a cleaning company to come and throw them away. Andrew was holding a teddy bear by the bedside. Aren't you taking this with you? You said you couldn't fall asleep without it. Do you really have no impression at all? This was the first birthday gift I gave you in middle school. You couldn't put it down. Oh, Sonny, it's so old. Maybe I should take it downstairs and throw it in the trash. Andrew snatched it away. It's not old. I'll buy you a new one. Okay, where are you going? Aren't you staying? I stepped back. I don't think I need to report to you, Mr. Andrew, about where I'm going. Andrew suddenly lost his composure. Where can you go? Your uncles are all abroad. You don't have any family left in the country. And you even sold that ancestral house. Sonny slapped him across the face. Shameless. Why did Stella sell that house? It was all because of you in college. You insisted on starting some business, got scammed, and the mess you caused hurt people. You didn't dare to tell the Andrew family that huge compensation was paid off by Stella, selling the old house for you. Andrew was suddenly stunned. I'm sorry, Stella, I didn't know. I thought I pulled Sonny and left without looking back. The elevator light came on and Lily walked out of it. She blocked my way, Sister Stella. Is it because of me that you're pretending to have amnesia to deceive President Andrew? If you've forgotten, then just go away. Why weren't you crushed to death in that stampede incident? Sunny was so angry that she kicked her. Lily turned around and fell into Andrew's arms. I just asked how you were feeling, sister. And she told her friend to kick me. Andrew pushed her away. Stella, have you remembered? It has nothing to do with Lily. Don't take your anger out on her. You won't leave me, right? Lily looked weak and on the verge of crying in Andrew's arms. I slapped her. Who the hell are you? You come up here and bark in front of my friend. Can't you see there are surveillance cameras up there? It was light of her to just kick you. Who are you trying to play these lousy green tea tricks in front of? I don't even know you. I wish you two bitches and that dog a happy life. Together. Andrew couldn't believe it. His eyes looking at me were full of shock. When flying to Haicheng, Sunny held my hand. Stella, it's great that you're starting anew. Andrew has changed his heart. If he loved you enough, how could anyone else have come between you two? I know everything you know. How many decades do you have? I hugged her. I won't cry, Sunny. I'll be very happy. Don't worry, I won't cry. I've already cried 10 times. The Stella who deeply loved Andrew had already died in those 10 disappointments. When we arrived in Haicheng, the sun was shining brightly, and the new house was quite big. When I was in the hospital, I said to Ryan, didn't your branch company in Haicheng just open and has been short of staff? Why don't I just transfer there? Can I become an old-timer there? He was a bit excited and called right away in the ward to arrange accommodation for me as an employee in Haicheng. I was busy getting into the new working environment. I found that I could still live without Andrew. I could hardly even remember him. Actually, I was a bit curious about what Andrew's reaction would be after I left. After all, we had been almost inseparable for so many years. I changed my mobile phone number, but I didn't change my WeChat account. I didn't really like using WeChat anyway. It was mostly people related to work. When Lily's message came, I was enjoying a foot massage. Since the skin on my feet was scraped last time, when the new skin was growing, it always itched a bit. Soaking them made it much better. She sent a photo of 2 people lying on a bed, so I was being overly sentimental. After I was out of the way, they could progress rapidly. I didn't feel a thing. It wasn't the first time I'd received such a photo. Either it was at a cocktail party once. Lily helped the drunk Andrew go home. That night, I received a photo from her of Andrew holding her tightly. I was so disgusted that I almost threw up. Just as I was about to question Andrew, I found the photo had been withdrawn. When I asked Andrew, he said, "Why have you become so suspicious? I was just drunk and she sent me home." That time, I strongly demanded that Andrew changed his secretary. Andrew said, "Don't be so jealous and affect someone's career. Okay, she's young. It's not easy for her to become the president's secretary, and she's very responsible in her work. You're actually suspecting a young girl who just graduated from university not long ago that she's always been respectful to me and even calls you sister in private. Okay, I'll keep my distance from her." His tone made it seem like I was being unreasonable. That time the number I noted in my memo was 3. This time I directly took a screenshot and sent it to Andrew. "Please don't let your girlfriend send such photos to disgust me. Thank you, Lily." Probably didn't know that I was quick enough to take a screenshot. When Ryan knocked on my door on a weekend, I had slept until 11 o'clock. He came with a bunch of groceries. "Hello, fellow patient." When we were in the hospital, he called me that the hospital beds were tight, and later we shared a ward for a while. "Why are you here, President Ryan?" He squeezed in. "I'm also in Hitching now. The branch company here needs me. Are you hungry? Have you had breakfast?" I was a bit embarrassed. In the past, I was always worried about Andrew's health and would get up early to cook, now sleeping until I woke up. Naturally, I realized how comfortable it was. "It's time for lunch. Please treat me to a meal. For the sake of me being your human cushion, just go wash up. It'll be ready soon." He raised his eyebrows, looking quite cheerful. As he was speaking, he skillfully walked into the kitchen to make hot pot. When the steaming hot pot was on the table, I felt warm for the first time in a long while, and the gloominess in me was swept away. Sunny arrived not long after. "You two are eating behind my back while hot pot quickly get me some chopsticks." After the meal, Ryan was the first to rush to clean up. Sunny was sitting on the side, cracking melon seeds and looking thoughtful. "Out with the old, in with the new. It would be best to find a husband in one Godot. It would be even better if you could get married. It's best to make it a done deal and let him regret it. I think this one is not bad." I was a bit helpless. "Even melon seeds can't shut your mouth. Why don't you eat a big peanut instead?" Ryan considered himself my savior. He said that after his injury healed, he still always felt weak in his hands and feet. "When you drive to work every day, take me along." That I asked, "Where do you live?" "Across the street." Oh, when Sunny left, she looked at me meaningfully. Stella, sometimes fate is really wonderful. I think that mummy is not bad. When we were in the ward, Sunny said. Ryan, who was wrapped in bandages, looked like a mummy. Grandma, I just finished a 10-year long distance race. Give me a break. Tisk, that's because you haven't found the right person. When Andrew showed up at the company entrance, I was getting out of the car with Ryan. He looked a bit haggard, his eyes darting between the two of us. He then grabbed me. Stella, I fired Lily. I got a new secretary. Just look at me again. Okay, I'll make you remember. Let's get married, okay, right? Away that I stepped aside to keep a distance from him. Sorry, Mr. Andrew, I don't know you and I won't marry you. He looked really hurt. Are you avoiding me like this now? I pulled Ryan and turned to leave. Andrew came forward again. What's your relationship with him? Why are you getting out of the car with him? You don't want to marry me because you've already found someone else. When did you two hook up? In the hospital here. Ryan walked up to him and punched him. Still in the hospital? When we were in the hospital, where were you? You kept saying Stella was your girlfriend. What were you doing? You were taking care of that secretary. Oh, her ankle was sprained. She couldn't survive without you. Andrew was stunned by his words. Ryan threw another punch. Your own girlfriend was in the hospital. Her legs and feet hurt so much that she couldn't move. And you're saying she was hooking up with someone in the hospital, hooking up with your horse. Andrew reacted and started fighting with Ryan. So what? She's my girlfriend. We grew up together. We've been together for more than 10 years. What are you? I shouted. Enough. I took out a tissue and wiped the wound on Ryan's face. Andrew, don't you get it? Whether I have amnesia or not, I'm just plain disgusted. Just seeing you makes me sick. I'll never marry you. I was afraid of getting entangled with you further. So I said I had amnesia. I did hit my head, but the amnesia was fake. But forgetting you, that's real. Andrew wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, if you remember. That's good. I didn't mean it. It was all Lily's fault, right? She was the one causing trouble between us. I won't see her again and there won't be anyone else. It's been 10 years. How could I not love you? Ryan frowned. I think my old injury has flared up again. My broken rib hurts so much. My chest hurts. I quickly supported him. Let's go to the hospital. Andrew, make it clear you want everything. I pretended to have amnesia, just to give our childhood sweethearts relationship a decent ending. Don't you understand? There's no possibility for us anymore. You're just not willing to let go of your 10 years. Please don't bother me anymore. It's really annoying. Andrew seemed to shrink a bit. He hit me first. I couldn't hear what he was saying anymore. After he left, Ryan didn't feel any pain anywhere. I teased him. So childish. Are you really okay? He held my hand. Stella, just look at me too, okay? You and Andrew were together for 10 years. Do you know that when I look at you I also, well, forget it. You owe me a meal for being bitten by a dog. Lunch. 0, okay? It was said that I would treat him to a meal, but more often than not, Ryan would prepare all kinds of elaborate meals and call me over to eat. Looking at the delicious and appetizing dishes, I rubbed my round belly. Isn't it said that a gentleman stays away from the kitchen? I didn't expect President Ryan to be such a good cook. Some lucky beauty will be blessed in the future. He was studying the recipe, looking very serious on his side profile. Do you want this blessing? Ryan really didn't seem like the kind of bosses described in legends because he had a mouth, and whenever there was something he would always make it clear face to face that he even talked a lot. Both employees and customers liked his straightforward temperament very much. After getting in touch with him for a while, you would feel inexplicably comfortable and at ease. Unexpectedly, Andrew hadn't given up. He dragged Lily to me. Tell me you took all those pictures of Stella when I was asleep and then photoshopped them later. Lily was being dragged by her hair and looked extremely wretched. President Andrew, please let me go. I'm sorry, you've blacklisted my resume all over the city. No company wants to hire me. Andrew slapped her hard. It's all your fault. You seduced me. You knew clearly that I had a girlfriend. We'd been together for 10 years. Lily's cheek was swollen badly, and her eyes were filled with despair. Ha ha ha, where there's rot there are flies. What a good person are you. If you really loved her, why didn't you get married after all these years? Didn't you enjoy being with me too? Andrew kicked her to one side. Stella, don't listen to her nonsense. I only love you. I only love you. Back then she was so delicate, just like you when you were 15, and your eyes were swollen from crying, but later you became so strong that it seemed you didn't need me anymore. You're generous, beautiful, intelligent, and powerful. You can handle everything on your own very well. As if you can do everything with ease. I looked at him coldly. Please excuse yourselves and let me pass. Lily laughed at him. Ha ha ha, only no regret when you've lost it. If dislike represents hatred, then truly forgetting someone should mean treating them as if they don't exist. Andrew watched Stella walk away without any emotion, looking like a complete stranger. When Ryan said he was going on a business trip abroad, I agreed without hesitation. Sunny sent me a message saying, Andrew has been looking everywhere for you in the city. that he doesn't even have the heart to manage the company, making everything a mess. The Andrew family took him back and had a psychologist treat him every day, but when he went back he became even crazier. He would run to your old house every day. The new owner of your old house thought he was a pervert and called the police to arrest him, ha ha ha. He seemed to have found the ring you hid before, which you planned to use to propose to him. We forgot to throw it away when we were packing, what bad luck. But he went even crazier when he saw it. Really, you gave him a chance to save face with your amnesia. Why didn't he just go and find his mistress instead of coming back to cause trouble? Speechless, he stabbed Lily with a knife. Oh, it was so bloody and he got arrested. Me. Okay, let's not talk about her anymore, bad luck. Then you enjoyed the two-person world with the mummy. What kind of business trip, I asked. He's just taking you out to relax. I met a few of Ryan's good clients here and there. When we passed by a big church he took out a gift box. Stella, this is what I wanted to tell you last time. You were with Andrew for 10 years. You don't know that I've had a crush on you for many years too. I opened the brocade box and there was a black hairpin lying inside. I was a bit surprised. This seems to be the one I lost in college. How did it get here? He looked at the big clock in the distance. Because I started noticing you since freshman year. But there was always someone by your side. Everyone said you were childhood sweethearts and deeply in love. I just wanted to take a photo with you on graduation day to end my years of unrequited love. After taking the photo that day your hairpin fell off. When I wanted to return it to you, you were already running towards Andrew with a smile. So I just wanted to keep it as a souvenir. You don't even remember me at all, do you? Back then you only had eyes for him. Later, by some strange coincidence, you actually applied for a job in my company. God knows what was going on in my mind. I hated that fate was unfair, making me fall in love with someone who was already taken, and I also hated that fate was kind, sending you back to me again. Anyway, I love you. I just love you. Could you give me a chance? I don't know when I started holding hands with Ryan. His hand had distinct knuckles and was warm. Maybe it was when I suggested that since we were abroad we might as well go and meet someone with me. Except for the time when I came to see my father. Once when I was 18, I had never been here since that time. When I came it happened to be a rainy night. I saw my father celebrating the birthday of his stepson. Outside it was stormy, but inside the house the lights were warm and yellow, looking cozy and soft. The boy was about my age, wearing a birthday hat and smiling brightly. When I went there my father was a bit embarrassed. He probably forgot that the day before was also my 8th birthday. I knew that he didn't want me to disturb his new life. When Ryan learned that we were going to see my dad, he nervously changed several sets of clothes. Stella, isn't it too soon? I'm a bit nervous. You don't need to be nervous. I haven't seen him for almost 10 years. When we arrived at my father's house, he was playing football with a little girl. Seeing that it was me, he was a bit stunned. Ashing, you're here. This is your sister. We had lunch together. He looked at Ryan. Good, Ashing, you're not young anymore. That I've transferred 1 million yuan to your card. Consider it as your dowry. Thank you, Dad. We sat together mostly in silence. The little girl just now called me sister in broken Chinese. I touched her head. She was so cute. How nice she could enjoy complete fatherly love. After my mother left, I also lost my father. Doubt we didn't stay long and left. On the way back Ryan suddenly hugged me tightly. He didn't say anything. I knew what he was thinking. Don't overthink. My father is living a good life now. And I'm not doing bad either. Besides, over the years, he has never been stingy with me when it comes to money. I laughed at myself. I'm 10,000 times happier than those orphans without parents, that I have no worries about food and clothing and plenty of money. Before I was 13 I was also the princess of my parents. Now I'm a little rich woman. Ryan suddenly burst into tears. Stella, let's get married when we go back. I've always dreamed of having a daughter. What did you say? He coughed awkwardly. I made a mistake. I meant my mother has always dreamed of having a daughter. The previous sentence, let's get married when we go back. Oh, so proposing can be this simple. I waited for someone for so long. What a waste of time. Ryan kissed me gently. His ears were a bit red. If you think it's too soon, it's okay. I can wait. His eyes looked a bit dim. My heart ached a little when I saw that. I hugged him and deepened the kiss. He immediately perked up again, and his eyes were full of me. Do you remember what I said? If I had a girlfriend like you, as soon as we reached the legal age, I would put her on my household register. You've reached the legal age of marriage now, right? Wait for me to go back and buy a ring to put on your finger. I've reached the legal age of marriage, Mr. Ryan. Okay, wife. Side story. Ryan, the goddess I had a crush on in college, actually came to work in my company. Bad news, she came here following Andrew. Andrew's company is just downstairs. Alas, I lamented the unfairness of fate. Why wasn't I the one who met her first? But they haven't even got married yet. That's not normal. It's really not normal. Speaking of which, that Andrew guy is crazy. With such a good wife, why didn't he tie her down quickly? It seems I have a chance because I noticed that something was off between Andrew and his secretary. They seemed to be hugging each other. Stella would surely be heartbroken if she knew. Stella might have known. She was a bit distracted at work and her eyes were red. She had obviously been crying. How could Andrew make her cry? What a jerked out. I went on a business trip with Stella. She was in much better spirits. She worked like a workaholic. It was snowing heavily, and she kept looking at her phone and making calls. Was she waiting for Andrew to come and pick her up? It was so cold. Why didn't that jerk come? She looked like she was about to break down. It seemed no one was coming. I quickly made a call. Hey Shally, are you asleep? Whether you are or not, hurry up and drive my car from my house to the high-speed railway station. For me, hurry up, I'll double your salary. Sure enough, she had been waiting and didn't leave. I turned the heater up to the maximum and drove it in front of her. Why did her eyes seem red from the heat? I had to comfort her a bit. Your boyfriend didn't come to pick you up. If I had a childhood sweetheart girlfriend. As soon as we reached the legal age of marriage, I would put her on my household register. You two have been together for 10 years. There must be something wrong. After saying that, I felt like my words were a bit harsh. Forget about this so-called comfort. You two should just break up right here. There was a fire in the office building. It was really scary. I shouted for the employees to evacuate in an orderly manner. Then I quickly went to check on Stella. Would that girl be scared? Why was she running so fast? Following her gaze. Damn it, that jerk. Stella looked lost. Fortunately, she didn't forget to run downstairs. Forget it, I'll run in front of her. In case she falls, I can block her and prevent her from rolling down. Damn my big mouth. There were only a few floors left when she really fell out. A stampede during the escape could be deadly. I quickly caught her. The impact from behind was too great. She still hit her head and fainted. That I quickly turned her over and protected her in my arms so that she would be less injured. Shit. Who stepped on my handsome head? My arm. Stella's leg. I stretched out my leg to block for her. Ouch, it hurt so much. Actually, my head was okay. Soon the firefighters came in from downstairs and rescued. I just wanted to wrap a few more bandages around myself. Would Stella feel a bit sorry for me when she saw me? Sympathy is the beginning of love. She actually had amnesia and forgot about Andrew. What great news. I was so happy that I ate 3 more bowls of rice, although I later found out that she was faking it. It seemed that she had really let go. Her good friend Sunny told me, Stella can't afford to be hurt a second time. She looks strong on the outside, but her heart might break easily on the inside. She's soft-hearted, kind, and always thinks about others. Ever since she was a child, her father was. If you dare to be like Andrew, I'll go to your parents and scold you 10,000 times. I'll ask them to beat you to death. Not bad. Sunny actually has a distant relative relationship with me. We only told Stella about it later. Later on the way of chasing Stella, Sunny played an important role. She told me all of Stella's preferences. As for her personality and such, she didn't even need to say. The closer I got to Stella, the more I was influenced by her. She was sincere to friends and business partners. If you gave her 1 point, she would give you 10. She had a good temper and never got angry easily. Andrew lost a precious gem after Stella took me to see her father. I felt even more sorry for her. Obviously she could have made a fuss and gone abroad with her father. But she didn't cry or make a fuss, and she let her father have his new family, but she no longer had a home. No wonder she couldn't let go of Andrew for so many years. It turns out that the highest level of love is feeling sorry for someone. I can do it, Dad. I'll give her a home. After coming back from abroad, I quickly and formally proposed to her, and then got the marriage certificate. Holding the 2 red books, I was over the moon when we got married. That Andrew guy actually had some nerve. He attended the wedding in handcuffs. In the corner of the wedding venue, he watched Stella on the stage. That he silently shed tears and then laughed again, crying and laughing. What a lunatic. He would live in this regret for the rest of his life. As a man, I know that a man never cries unless he's really heartbroken. He deserved it. He took advantage of Ashing's love for him, and did all kinds of things to hurt her. When he left, he put down a ring. I ran over and kicked it away. Late affection is cheaper than grass. Ashing wasn't very good at expressing her love, but she longed to be loved. She tried hard to hold on to the little bit of love that belonged to her. So that, even when the whole world knew there was something wrong between her and Andrew, she was still trying. She was afraid that all love wouldn't be eternal. Later, I held her and asked her when she fell in love with me. She had a thin layer of sweat on her head, blushed and whispered in my ear, when you took out the hairpin and said you loved me, that I won't promise her that love will be eternal, but I'll let her wait and see.